Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about the 10 things that you absolutely want to consider putting on your Kickstarter page. Now, my name is Forrest, and I dive into Kickstarters every single weekday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I take a look at a different Kickstarter board game and really deeply analyze the board game, the Kickstarter page, everything about the Kickstarter to try and see what companies do well and what companies don't do so well. I've done that over 1,000 times, and here are 10 things that I absolutely think that you should consider putting on your Kickstarter page. Now, before we get into that, I also want to give a shout out to Hero Time Manufacturing. I work for them, and if you are in the process of potentially creating your own game or bringing it to Kickstarter, be sure to click on that email link down below, send me your components, and I can get you a quote of roughly what Hero Time can potentially do for you. Also, one thing I also want to mention is we do a whole bunch of stuff leading up to your Kickstarter, a lot of free services that we offer that could potentially have you launching with your Kickstarter as good as it can be. Now, before we get into these 10 things, I really want to break down and analyze why we're doing everything. Because at the end of the day, there are 3 things that you need to convince every Kickstarter backer. First, do they want it? Obviously, if they don't want it, they're not going to back it. Secondly, can you do it? Can you physically bring this thing that they want out? Can you release it? That's important. Then last, how much is it? Because if it's too expensive, they're just going to not buy it. So those are the 3 things that you absolutely need to be focused on when creating your Kickstarter page. But now, let's get into the 10 things that I think you might want to consider for your page. And we broke it down. We got 3, 4, and 3. So we're going to have a little bit all over the board. So first, do I want it? One thing that I would highly recommend you do on your main image or your description. When I say main image or description, I'm talking about this area and this area right here. If you're on GameFound, there's a little clickable thing where they have it right here, is list the player link, the time count, the age, and I know it's crazy, but even the mechanisms of your game. Think about it. What piece of information is on nearly every board game box on the planet? It's player link, time count, and age. There are games that I can immediately say probably are not going to be for me, or I'm more naturally to like just from knowing those vital pieces of information. So if you're not putting them on your main image, or especially on your pre-launch image, you're doing a disservice to your customers. Look at Cosmos Emperor right now. We're on GameFound. I immediately know it's 2 to 8 players, and I'm like, ooh, I routinely hit 5, 6, 7 players on my game night. I'm excited about this small box game. So, putting that on there, I think, is essential and something you should consider because, once again, it's going to help people know whether or not they want it. Going back to the do I want it. Now, pivoting over to can you do it, we're going to go to Board Game Geek link. You need to get your game on Board Game Geek as soon as possible. Start working on that page. Fill it in. It's not like an instant process. It will take some time to do it and get verified. But I'm going to just show you exactly why you want to do it and why it's in the can you do it category. Because it makes your game look more reputable. Let's look at some of the most popular games. Let's just look at some board games. So Ticket to Ride, we type it into Google. First we got Days of Wonder, the website that makes it. And then what do we have? We have Board Game Geek. Let's try another one. Let's try an old school game. Let's go Uno Rummy. Just an old as dirt game. First thing pops up, Board Game Geek. We'll go with one more, Flamecraft, a new hot game from a couple of years ago. Flamecraft. Let's go. And once again, first link is Board Game Geek. If you want your game to look like more of a real thing, you need to get it on Board Game Geek, preferably sooner rather than later. Make sure you fill in your mechanisms, your category, all that sort of stuff, because there's a very good chance that someone might just stumble onto it because they love worker placement games and they were just browsing through worker placement games or something like that. But it just makes your game look more real. Get it on Board Game Geek, and it makes you look like more of a member of the community, which can be good, especially if you're not a member of the board game community if it's your first time making a game. That's tip number 2. Moving on to tip number 3 in the how much is it category, let's talk about the main price early on. This is something. There are, right now, as the time of this recording, which is 2023, there's actually over 300 games on Kickstarter right now that I could back and I could give my money to. And this is, then there's GameFound, there's BackerKit. There are so many different games right now competing for customers' money that you do not want to waste people's time. And one thing that I see a lot of companies do, in particular, oddly enough, companies from Europe, is not just get to the price point faster, especially if you have a great, captivating video that convinces people that they want it. Just get to the price. Get to the price already. People are used to paying hundreds of dollars on Kickstarter. Don't worry that, oh, my price might be too high. Just throw it out there and let people make that decision. It should be early on. And especially if you have a great price, why not mention it on your marquee? If you have a game under $40, I highly implore you to consider mentioning that relatively early on, potentially in the video, how much your game is. Okay? Because it's a vital piece of information that people are going to need. Why would you possibly bury it? And you need to have it on your story. What is a story? Just to clarify, the story is this aspect down here. If you do not have your price on your story, it's annoying. When are we getting to the price on this one, actually? Oh, Jiminy Christmas. We got so much good stuff here. Yeah, look how far it's buried down here. It's one of the most important things you need to have on your game. Get your price up there. If it's a great price, spotlight it early. So, moving over to tip number 4, we have Do I Want It? Videos. You need to have a video on your crowdfunding project. Your likelihood of succeeding rises exponentially if you have a video, preferably showing gameplay, components, and a little bit of theme. And I want to stress that. So many companies just go theme all the dang day in their video. Well, you know what every other single game for the most part on the planet has? A theme. It's not unique, it's not special most of the time, so if you're going to really hammer home on how great your theme is, make sure you're interweaving the components to show how the theme is going to come across in the components. If you have a 3-minute intro video for a, let's say a trick-taking card game, you don't need to hammer that hard on your theme because we all know it's pretty much just a mechanical game. But you need to have a video, and ideally, your video should be able to hit on all 3 aspects. Do I want it? Can you do it? And how much is it? If you can get all 3 of those into a video, after people watch their video, and most people do watch the video, not everybody, but most people do, and we'll give you some more tips later on for the people that don't watch those videos, people are going to have a very concrete idea about whether or not the game that you are making is going to be for them. So have a video, which, duh, no-brainer, but try and hit on all the different aspects. Potentially, maybe mentioning the pledge level that you want people to take. Maybe mentioning if you have stretch goals to get people more excited for the project and to want to go into your story to see how the game is going to get bigger. And for the love of everything, please, if you have an expansion that you're trying to sell me, make sure you mention it in the story, because that is just the Kickstarter thing now, that games don't just launch by themselves now, frequently. They launch with an expansion. You need to mention that early. I've seen so many Kickstarter pages where it's like, oh, you want me to buy an expansion? Well, you haven't really brought it up at all. Don't be that company. Just, duh. So, pivoting over, tip number 5, can you do it? Proofread. Proofread. And this one, this is such a no-brainer. Like, it's just, and I'm actually going to throw in 2 tips here. We're going to go proofread and collaborators. So, make sure that before you click send, or whatever button you're clicking to put your project up, that someone who is not attached to your project in any way, shape, or form has just gone through it. They will notice typos, they will notice little things that you might have otherwise missed, or if you have collaborators, have them do it. Now let's talk about collaborators. You need collaborators on your project, ideally, because if the project goes well, really well, which once again, that's your goal. Are you trying to make $20,000? Are you trying to make $200,000? Most likely it's $200,000. Now, is that probably going to happen? Probably not, but you could do things to get yourself on that path. Having collaborators is one of them. And I know you're thinking, oh, but it's just a one-person thing on my board game company. Reach out to friends. Reach out to families. Reach out to your significant other and say, hey, I don't need you to answer questions about the board game or do this, that, or the other thing. I just need you to be in here maybe once a day and just respond to stuff. So they say, yeah, we're so excited about the project too, Jerry. Or yeah, we absolutely love that art. Our artist has a lot more stuff in store. Like you could respond to so many small comments. You personally, right now, if you just let's do an example. I'm going to go into Fever Swamp and I'm going to pretend that they just slap me in as a collaborator. Now they only have 28 comments. That is the new cover, is so slick. I'm stoked. Sam, we thought the exact same thing when the artist showed us to us, and let me tell you, once you start seeing inside the book, you are going to be over the moon for this one. Bingo. That's it. I don't know anything about this project, but I just came in here and typed for 15 seconds, and I made the project better in Kickstarter's eyes because now there's more engagement. And do you personally think that Sam is now going to be more likely to respond or say things in this Kickstarter project knowing that they're going to get that positive response, that positive reinforcement from someone with a green rectangle? Because while I'm not the creator, I still am a collaborator. The answer is yes. Collaborators are essential. Try and find yourself some friends, some family who will help you out with that and make your dream a reality. It really can go a long way, even if they don't know anything about your game. They can just say, hey, he's on vacation right now. He will get back to this on Monday. Little things like that go a long way. And it builds good faith and goodwill for your campaign if things don't go so well in the back end once you start shipping or all that other sort of stuff. So, moving on to how much is it? We have our next tip, which I think is like tip 6 or something. Shipping, not buried or... So, first and foremost, a lot of people do this thing where we put the shipping all the way at the bottom. It is super annoying, and it's the industry standard. And this is going to be one of the few things where I'm going to buck industry standard and say, I don't care what industry standard is. It just makes more sense for your customers to have shipping up higher. Why can't we have the pledge area, the add-on area, and the shipping area all together? Shopping, one-stop shopping, all the information about your price points in one area. Instead, we do right here. Rewards, here, shipping. Well, this one, they're actually kind of close together because they didn't do much on this page. But put them close together. And if you don't do that, make sure you use the new tab system, which just got implemented into Kickstarter about a month or so ago. GameFound has had it since pretty much from launch, where essentially if you go to a GameFound project, you can click on exactly where you want to go. I want to know about the rulebook. I want to know about the extras of the team or whatnot. It makes it so much easier to navigate your page. Now, I don't know how many people are using it right now on Kickstarter. I do a lot of Kickstarter critiques where I analyze people's Kickstarter pages, and it's becoming more prevalent, but you should be using it. It just makes it easier to navigate through your Kickstarter page and open people's wallets, because once again, there's over 300 games right now competing with you to get money for your games. So shipping, put it up higher. Why make me go to a separate area? Like, why? Why not just have it? Do you have a good reason? Because I don't. Continuing on, we have our final tip for Do I Want It, which is tab viewing. New feature. Use it. I guess that's kind of connected to the last one, but yes, use it. It makes it so much easier for me to find stretch goals and rewards and information on the designers and the publishers. It's just, use it. Why would you not? It makes it easier for your customers. And here's the other big thing. If you end up having a not great story, like your organization is just not appealing and it's a bit of a slog, this makes it so that people can do it themselves. I'm done hammering on this point, but use the tabs if you're on Kickstarter. And if you're not on Kickstarter, heavily consider Kickstarter over GameFound. I could make a whole other video about that, but GameFound is just, if you're not a big company or have a big game that people are excited about or a big second print run, I would not recommend GameFound. Hard stop. Anywho, can you do it? Moving on to the last one. You need, listen to me right now. You need a gameplay video. You need a gameplay video. You need a gameplay video. And if you don't have a gameplay video, you look lazy and incompetent. And I know those are harsh words, but those are true words. There are 300 other games, if not more, potentially less, depending on when you launch, that are competing with you. People need to know how your game is played. In a preview, that's great. Preview, it's great to have 1, 2, you don't need 7. But you need a gameplay. And it's not difficult. It's not expensive. It doesn't matter if it's Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia or you with a rough prototype and an $8 tripod in your phone that you got off Amazon. The tripod, probably. I guess you can buy phones on Amazon. It's not illegal. But you need a gameplay video. It boggles my mind. And here's the bottom line. If you launch without a gameplay video, you know who's going to tell you? Your Kickstarter backers. Or at least the ones that decide to join you on this journey without the crucial information they need, which is, hey, does the game flow well? Does it look good? You know, not look good necessarily, but does it look fun to play? So you need to have a gameplay video, period. Also, if you're more interested in how you can get a gameplay video from a content creator, that's why you might want to consider Hero Time Manufacturing. Post a link to send me an email down below because we do a lot of Kickstarter services, including getting you attached with other content creators. And I'm not just talking about me, but other content creators out in the world. So your game looks more reputable on the Can You Do It. So gameplay video, preview, they are necessary on your page. And bonus, if you can put a how to play video up there. Doesn't matter how crude it is. Doesn't matter, a how to play video. gonna take a breath. It just gets me so excited. Yes, how to play video is great. Not necessary, but let me tell you. Would you appreciate it? Yeah, you would. So, last thing, and this is a big one, convert the currencies and convert your inches. Now, I'm going to show you exactly why. And this one, specifically, a lot of people from outside the United States of America are bad about. We're just going to go to a completely random game, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. This one's from the Netherlands, actually. Cool. Majority of people who back your project are going to be from the United States of America. 557 out of 1654. So that is roughly 1/3 in this particular project just from the United States of America, which means don't just give me centimeters. Give me inches. Don't just give me euros or pounds. Give me dollars. The last time I checked, 50% of the people, on average, backing Kickstarter are from the United States of America. That is half the pie who use inches and dollars. You should have inches and dollars on your page. Now, you obviously should have centimeters as well. And sometimes I will nitpick American companies who don't have the centimeters. Because that's, like, come on. Now, I know what you're going to say, but the euros and the pounds and the dollars, they fluctuate from time to time. Yeah, they do. That's why you just give a range. You say, it's roughly this price, or it's from this price to this price. Obviously, you don't want to put a price that is going to put you at a potential disservice, but have that information there. Because, once again, I'll give you a perfect example. I see this all the time, specifically with companies that have large minis in their game. Where they'll be like, it's 38 centimeters, or just a random number. And a huge chunk of your people are going to be like, okay, what is it? Well, let me go get out Google measurements so I can figure out how many inches that is. You know, and you need, because the whole goal of you maybe mentioning the size was to, like, get me into your game and say, oh, that's cool, I want to have that because it's such a large mini or whatever. Or just conveying the size of your board. That's another thing. That's for another video. Like, you should be telling me the dimensions of your components. But convert the currencies and convert the measurements for everybody around the world. Now, obviously, you don't have to go crazy with it. You probably pounds, dollars, and euros. Probably going to get you through most things. If you want to throw some love to Canada, throw in the Canadian ones there as well. But the bottom line is, convert the currencies for your customers. Make it an easy process because, once again, you're competing with 300 other games. But those are 10 recommendations that I would absolutely recommend you consider for your next Kickstarter project. Also, consider emailing me down at Forrest at HeroTime1.com. Shoot me an email. I'll get you yourself a quote. And maybe it's not the one you go with, but you have a little bit more peace of mind and you shopped around, which just looks good. But as always, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below as I'm trying to reach 30,000 subscribers in 2023 to make it my biggest year ever. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube. Bye-bye!